Have you ever been in a situation where you're being treated terribly by your employer, yet you're unable to resign? Or do you know people who are waiting for something to change their lives or situation, yet they have no clue what they are waiting for and do nothing to help themselves in the meantime? That is the story of Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. Hello, fellow book lovers. I am so excited to have you join me today in the very first episode of my book analysis channel, Book Lovers Corner. I can't believe I'm finally doing this because talking about books is my happy place, and I've been talking about doing this forever. This corner right here is for book lovers who simply want to relax, reminisce about a good book, and chat about how these books relate to our modern day life. No heavy analysis, just great books and good vibes. You're welcome to share your thoughts in the comments and tell me which classic book you'd want us to talk about next. I am Anaimi, and for this very first episode, we're diving deep into a theatrical masterpiece, Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. Most people know this play for one powerful theme, the endless waiting. But while everyone is talking about the non-existent Godot, Vladimir, and Estragon, we are taking a different route. We are getting up close and personal with two of the most fascinating characters in the play, the tyrannical Pozzo and his long-suffering servant Lucky. Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett was first published in 1952. It's a tragic comedy about two tramps, Vladimir and Estragon, who are waiting on a country road for a mysterious figure named Godot, who never shows up. The play is famous for its sense of futility, the secular conversations, and that crushing feeling that nothing will ever change. But the characters I want us to focus on today aren't Vladimir and Estragon. It's Pozzo and Lucky, and how their relationship feels uncomfortably similar to what we see in our modern day world. Pozzo is that quintessential CEO, and Lucky is that overworked, underappreciated, underpaid, and overlooked employee who does everything and anything just to stay afloat. When we first meet them, the scene is shocking. Lucky is being driven by a rope around his neck by Pozzo and is weighed down by a ridiculous amount of luggage. He carries Pozzo's heavy bags, his folding stool, a picnic basket, and a greatcoat. Meanwhile, Pozzo is armed with a whip, he's strolling along. He orders Lucky around like an animal, calling him pig and hog, and even kicks him to make him move. It's such a powerful picture of a boss who sees his employee not as a fellow human being, but as a tool to be used and discarded. But here's the interesting part. Pozzo isn't as powerful as it looks. For all his noise and arrogance, he's actually completely dependent on Lucky. He relies on him to carry his things, fetch his coat, set up his stool, and serve him in every way, even think for him and entertain him. He admits that Lucky carries these heavy bags not because it's his job, but because Lucky insists on doing it, desperately trying to prove his worth to Pozzo so Pozzo would not get rid of him. That is the heartbreaking reality of many employees today. The overworked, underpaid worker who takes on everything, not because they want to, but because they fear being replaced. Pozzo's control over Lucky goes even further. He treats Lucky so completely like property that he offers him to strangers he just met for entertainment. He actually asks them, what would you like him to do? Dance or think? As if Lucky's body and mind belong to him. And of course, Lucky doesn't object. He can't. He has no choice. His silence says it all. He's trapped in a cycle of obedience, doing whatever is demanded to keep his place. And when Lucky is ordered to, and he finally thinks, it's not simple speech. It's this wild, tangled outburst that sound like nonsense, but it's not. Beneath the jumble of words is real brilliance. Lucky's thoughts spill out in a single breath, mixing philosophy, religion, and despair. It's as if all the intelligence it's been forced to hide finally explodes. That moment shows us something deeper. Lucky is intelligent. He's capable of deep thoughts and insight, but he's trapped in a situation that only allows him to think when ordered to. It's hard not to see the modern day version of that. How many talented people are stuck in workplaces where their ideas are only heard when someone higher up the ladder gives the permission? Where their creativity has to fit in a box just to survive. Lucky represents the employee who has brilliance but no freedom. And when Pozzo orders him to think, it's just for his amusement, for his pleasure, and to show off to these strangers he just met. He even says Lucky used to be a fantastic and entertaining thinker, but not anymore. It's such a painful modern image. That loyal employee who once shone bright, who used to bring energy and fresh ideas, but is now dismissed as slow, outdated, and past their peak. Is that perimenopausal woman who has been in the company for years, loyal, consistent, and competent, but suddenly overlooked for promotions because she doesn't seem to remember a lot of things? Is the man who gave his best years to the job but now struggles to keep up with new technology while younger, cheaper hires are favored? It's that new parent who once stayed late every night but is now quietly penalized for putting their young family first. And what do these bosses say when they want to let these people go? We'll give you a good referral. Just like Pugs was saying, he'll be kind and sell Lucky at the fair. The language sounds nicer now, but the cruelty is the same. It's still disposal wrapped in politeness. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful and humiliating moments in the play, the chicken bone. Pozzo eats a large, juicy piece of chicken and tosses the bones aside. Estragon, who is starving, asks if he can have them, but Pozzo tells him the bones actually belong to Lucky, so Estragon has to ask Lucky for permission first. Lucky doesn't respond. He simply stands there in silence, and after that long, awkward pause, Pozzo finally says he doesn't want them, and Estragon takes them eagerly. That small moment there says so much. The bone is a perfect symbol of the tiny salary or tiny benefits that keep someone tied to a toxic job. It's humiliating, but it's survival. Estragon represents that family member or friend who depends on the struggling worker to bring home something, anything, but he has no clue what that person goes through to earn it. Lucky endures Pozzo's abuse because he has to keep providing for the Estragons in his life. It's a heartbreaking reflection of how dependency keeps the cycle going. Lucky can't leave, Pozzo can't manage without him, and Estragon can't survive with Lucky's scraps. Pozzo even says he could kick Lucky out of his arse, but he'll take him to the fair to get a good price instead. That is today's version of the cold boss who says they are just restructuring or making cuts. It's the same mindset, turning people into numbers, pretending it's business when it's really cruelty disguised as efficiency. Then comes one of the most haunting twists in the play. When Pozzo and Lucky return the next day, everything is different. Pozzo is now blind and Lucky is now dumb. He can no longer speak. The mighty boss who once trotted with a whip now needs to be led, and the servant who once obeyed every order now shuffles silently, guiding the man who once controlled him. Pozzo never sold Lucky after all. Maybe he couldn't. Maybe he couldn't get a replacement. Instead, they have become completely dependent on each other. Two broken people, each powerless in their own way, bound together by habit and need. It's such a powerful irony. Pozzo, who once had all the power, is now powerless. He's now blind, lost without the worker he once treated like property. And Lucky, the worker who once carried everything, has lost his voice. The one thing that could have freed him is the perfect symbol of how systems built on control and dependency traps everyone. The boss becomes helpless without the worker, and the worker becomes voiceless without the system. Beckett doesn't give us a neat ending, probably because there isn't one. The story just keeps looping, the same waiting, the same helplessness, the same cycle. And maybe that's the point. Waiting for Godot forces us to look at our own lives and ask, what am I waiting for? Who or what am I depending on to fix everything? And am I stuck in a system that keeps me here because I'm too afraid to leave? It's a heavy question, but that's what makes Beckett brilliant. He takes something as simple as waiting and turns it into a mirror for the human condition, for work, for power, for faith, for hope, and for everything in between. And here, my friends, is where we'll end Waiting for Godot today. Thank you again for joining me. Same time next week, we're diving into another classic, one of my favorite books, Animal Farm by George Orwell. My name is Onaimi, and if I don't make you love classic books, who will?